Welcome to the annual Recurrent 2019 for navigation authorizations and limitations, charts, EFB, and runway markings. Starting with government charts. Are we authorized by the FAA to use NOS terminal procedures and other government-published aeronautical charts while operating aircraft? The answer is no. Per company operation specifications Alpha 009, IJIA will order the following Jepson Airway publications from Jepson Sanderson Company of Inglewood. List shown below. Operation specifications Bravo 031, areas of en route operation. Authorized areas of en route operation. The certificate holder is authorized to conduct Class 1 navigation. When conducting IFR Class 1 navigation, the certificate holder is authorized to conduct these operations in accordance with the following additional provisions. Number 1, operate IFR flights over routing predicted on ATC radar vectoring services within controlled airspace. Number 2, operate IFR flights, including flights to alternate or diversionary airports within controlled airspace over off-airway routings, which are predicated on airways navigation facilities, provided the following conditions are met. Number 1, these off-airway routings lie within the operational service volume of the facilities used, and such off-airway operation is authorized by the appropriate ATC facility. 2, the operation is conducted in accordance with the route width and MEA criteria prescribed for or applied to the certificate holder by the appropriate ICAO contracting state. 3, the required airborne and ground-based navigation facilities are available and operational and enabled navigation performance to meet the degree of accuracy required for air traffic control over the route of flight specified in the ATC clearance. Operating IFR flights, including flights to alternate or diversionary airports in Class G airspace in accordance with the provisions of paragraph Alpha 014, Charlie 064, Charlie 080, Hotel 113, and/or Hotel 121, as applicable, these operations specifications if issued. Deviations from routings specified in this paragraph are authorized when necessary due to in-flight emergencies or to avoid potentially hazardous meteorological conditions. For operations within Class A airspace, the certificate holder is authorized to conduct Class 1 navigation under positive radar control with the area navigation or long-range nav. The certificate holder is authorized to conduct Class 1 navigation including en-route IFR operations outside positive radar control with the area navigation system specified in paragraph Bravo 034 of these operations specifications, if that paragraph is issued. The certificate holder is authorized to conduct Class 2 navigation in accordance with paragraphs Bravo 032 and 036 of these operations specifications, if those paragraphs are issued. The certificate holder is authorized to use approved GPS navigation equipment as a supplement to ICAO standard navigation equipment while conducting Class 1 navigation. Operation specification Bravo 032, en route limitations and provisions. The certificate holder shall comply with the following IFR en route limitations and provisions when conducting any en route operation under these operation specifications. Unless otherwise authorized by these operation specifications, the certificate holder shall not conduct IFR operations outside controlled airspace. When conducting Class 1 navigation, an aircraft's position shall be reliably fixed as necessary to navigate to the degree of accuracy required for ATC. With the exception of Bravo 3 and 5 below, the airways used and the off-airway routing predicated on airways navigation facilities shall lie within the operational service volume of the facilities defining the airways or off-way routing. Operations over routes with a minimum en route altitude gap or ICAO equivalent are an exception to the operational service volume requirement. With the exception of B5 below, the facilities which define an airway or an off-airway routing predicated on airways navigation facilities shall be used as the primary navigation reference. An area navigation system may be used if the aircraft position can be reliably fixed at least once each hour using airway navigation facilities to the degree of accuracy required for ATC. The system must be certificated for use in IFR flight for the conduct of Class 1 navigation over the routes being flown and authorized in accordance with paragraph Bravo 034 of the operation specifications. When conducting Class 2 navigation as authorized in accordance with OP specifications Bravo 036 and 054 is required anytime the above requirements cannot be met. In other words, you can use only if your aircraft and equipment is authorized. R&P operations shall not be conducted unless navigation is conducted using an area navigation system which is certified for use in IFR flight for the route being flown and authorized in paragraphs Bravo 036. Determining the class of navigation. What is Class 1 navigation? The decisive factor is the operational service volume of ICAO standard ground-based navigational aids within the proposed area of operation. If the minimum en-route flight altitude specified and the locations of the ICAO standard ground-based nav aids ensure that the flight will always be within the operational service volume, the entire en-route operation is considered Class 1 navigation. OP specification Bravo 034, Class 1 route navigation. Class 1 approved RNAV. The certificate holder is authorized to conduct IFR Class 1 terminal and en-route navigation, including operations outside positive radar control, using aircraft and RNAV systems approved by this paragraph in those areas of operations where this paragraph is referenced in Bravo 050 of these operation specifications. Approved operations, if specified in Table 1, the certificate holder is authorized to conduct precision RNAV and or basic RNAV / RNAV 5 operations in terminal and or en route areas where this paragraph is referenced in paragraph Bravo 050 of these operation specifications. All right, Class 1 RNAV criteria. Number 1, the route design determines whether the operation is terminal or en route navigation. Number 2, for BRNAV / RNAV 5 terminal and en route operations, the navigation performance is plus or minus 5 nautical miles for 95% of the flight time. For PRNAV terminal and en route operations, the navigation performance is plus or minus 1 nautical mile for 95% of the flight time. If the RNAV equipment is certified for PRNAV, it may be authorized for both PRNAV and BRNAV / RNAV 5 terminal and en route operations. Class 1 NAV and Class A. The certificate holder is authorized to conduct Class 1 navigation in the U.S. Class A airspace using the airplane and area navigation, RNAV, or long-range systems approved by this paragraph, provided the special limitations and provisions of this operation specifications are met. Except as provided in these operation specifications, the certificate holder shall not conduct any other operation using RNAV or long-range navigation systems in the U.S. Class A airspace. What is Class 2 navigation? In situations where the entire area of operation at the minimum flight altitude specified is outside or beyond the operational coverage volume of ICAO standard ground-based nav aids, the operation is considered Class 2 navigation. Limitations of Class II navigation. The certificate holder is authorized to conduct Class II navigation using multiple long-range navigation systems only within the areas of en route operation where this paragraph is referenced in OpSpec Bravo 050. Unless specifically authorized elsewhere in these operation specifications, the certificate holder shall not conduct Class II navigation operations within Central East Pacific Airspace, North Pacific Airspace, North Atlantic Minimum Navigation Performance Specifications airspace, or areas of magnetic unreliability. The certificate holder shall conduct all Class II navigation operations using MLRNS in accordance with the provisions of this paragraph. Specs Bravo 036 Class II navigation using multiple long-range navigation systems. Authorized equipment for Class II navigation, listed as below. Bravo 054 Oceanic and remote airspace navigation using single long-range navigation systems. And exception to the general requirements of Class II navigation requirements, very specific geographic areas of operation. For further study, see Operation Specifications Bravo 054. Authorization to navigate oceanic and remote airspace using a single long-range navigation system. The certificate holder is authorized to conduct oceanic and remote airspace navigation limited to the areas identified in subparagraph C below using the airplanes and equipment listed in Table 1 below. You can memorize all this stuff, or basically, this is the area in which single long-range navigation system is being referenced. Moving on, Op Specifications Charlie 051 Terminal Instrument Procedures. Terminal Instrument Procedures Limitations. The certificate holder is authorized to conduct terminal instrument operations using the procedures and minima specified in these operation specifications, provided one of the following conditions is met. 1. The terminal instrument procedure used is prescribed by these operation specifications. 2. The terminal instrument procedure used is prescribed by Title 14, Code of Federal Regulations, Part 97, or at U.S. military airports, the terminal instrument procedure used is prescribed by the U.S. military agency. Or 4, if authorized foreign airports, the terminal instrument procedure used at the foreign airport is prescribed or approved by the government of an ICAO contracting state. Also see criteria based on FAA Order 8260.3, TERPS, ICAO Document 8168 OPS, and PANS OPS Volume 2. Op Specs Charlie 064 Terminal Area IFR Operations in Class G airspace. Limitations to operations in Class G terminal airspace or airports. The certificate holder is authorized to conduct non-scheduled passenger and all cargo, scheduled and non-scheduled, terminal area IFR operations in Class G airspace or at airports without an operating control tower specified in accordance with the limitations and provisions of this paragraph. The certificate holder shall not conduct any other terminal area IFR operations under this operation specification. The certificate holder is authorized to conduct these operations provided that the certificate holder determines that 1. The airport is served by an authorized instrument approach procedure. 2. The airport has an approved source of weather or in accordance with the provisions for conducting the flight under the eligible on-demand authorization. 3. The airport has a suitable means for the pilot and command to require timely air traffic advisories and the status of airport services and facilities. And 4. the facilities and services necessary to safely conduct IFR operations are available and operational at the time of the particular operation. Using a Class G airport as an alternate. The certificate holder is authorized to designate and use an alternate or diversionary airport, which will involve terminal area IFR operations in Class G airspace or at airports without an operating control tower, provided that at the time of any operation to that alternate or diversionary airport, the certificate holder determines that the provisions specified in some parts A1 through 4 are met. So, all of the requirements to operate in Class G terminal airspace on the previous slide we just spoke of. Regarding VNAV, OpSpec Charlie 073. Conducting a VNAV approach. The certificate holder is authorized to use minimum descent altitude as a decision altitude, slant decision height with vertical navigation on a non-precision approach. The certificate holder will use Operation Specifications Charlie 073 in conjunction with Operation Specifications 052, straight in, non-precision, APV, and Category 1 precision approach and landing minima, all airports. The certificate holder is authorized to conduct instrument approach operations using the following airplanes and area navigation systems certified for these VNAV operations as listed in the table below. Conducting a VNAV approach, be careful. There are many additional restrictions in Charlie 073 that may prevent you from being able to fly this kind of approach. One, serves a runway that has a published RNP instrument approach procedure, RNAV's GPS, RNAV RNP, or GPS in the title, with the published LNAV, VNAV, or RNP DA, and has the exact published final approach course as the RNAV IAP. B, has a published vertical descent angle coincident with or higher than the barometric vertical guidance on the published RNAV instrument approach procedure. A published visual descent angle is not required when using the LNAV minima line on an RNAV approach that has a published LPV and or LNAV slant VNAV decision altitude. Use the published glide slope. The VNAV path must be at or above all step-down fixes. In some cases, for example, barrel VNAV, there must also be a published precision approach to that runway in order to use an LNAV VNAV approach. What must I do if my long-range navigation system, in other words FMS, database has expired or is inop? Make sure to defer the proper FMS installation based on the fleet configuration list. Check your appropriate fleet minimum equipment list for your aircraft. If you defer the FMS database, operational may be out of currency provided. Current aeronautical charts are used to verify navigation fixes prior to dispatch. Procedures are established and used to verify status and suitability of navigation facilities used to define route of flight, and approach navigation radios are manually tuned and identified. If you defer the FMS database, 34-40-1 FMS navigation database, flight crew must use current Jepson charts to verify status and suitability of navigation facilities used in flight. The navigation management system, flight crew must use current Jepson charts to verify status and suitability of navigation facilities in flight. Moving on to electronic flight banks, there are three classes of them, 1, 2, and 3. Class 1 EFB. These EFBs are portable, commercial off-the-shelf devices that are part of a pilot's flight kit and are not mounted to the aircraft. An EFB attached to the pilot's leg, in other words a knee board, may still be considered a Class 1 EFB because it is not mounted to the aircraft. Class 2, these EFBs are typically mounted to the aircraft by a mounting device and may be connected to a data source, a hardwired power source, or an installed antenna. In order to be considered portable, tools must not be used must not be required to remove an EFB from the flight deck, and the pilot crew member must be able to perform the task. Portable EFBs must be located on the flight deck and controlled by the flight crew during all flight operations. Finally, Class 3 EFB. These EFBs employing any type of software application must be approved by TC, amended TC, or STC, and are discussed further in subparagraph 4-1646C. Type A or B software applications and user modifiable software are not subject to FAA certification when installed on Class 3 EFBs. Type A, B, or user modifiable software must not interfere with FAA certificate Type C software or software that has received FAA design approval by the Aircraft Certification Service. Two different types of EFB software, Type A and Type B. Type A applications are those applications intended for use on the ground or during non-critical phases of flight when a pilot workload is reduced. Type B applications are applications that are intended for use during critical phases of flight or have software and/or algorithms that must be tested for accuracy and reliability. In other words, the geo-referenced aeronautical charts that we have in our EFBs. Operation Specifications Alpha 061, use of an electronic flight pack. Equipment class and type authorizations are listed in this op spec. In the iJet Ops Manual for 13.1 electronic flight bags, you can consult this section for full procedures and checklists on operating an iJet authorized EFB. Remember, the company issued iPad is a Class 1 EFB in the eyes of the FAA. It is not a personal entertainment device. This is why we must have prescribed rules that we must follow as concerns what applications can be loaded on the iPad. In other words, think of your iPad as fair game on an FAA ramp inspection. While we won't go to this in this slide or this presentation, a basic understanding of the acronyms may be helpful for future lessons. FANS 1A and ATN, Future Air Navigation and Aviation Technology Network. Data Link, CPDLC, Controller Pilot Data Link Communication, ADSB, Automatic Dependent Surveillance Broadcast, and ADSC, Automatic Dependent Surveillance Contract. FANS 1A, required on all HLA North Atlantic routes, altitudes flight level 350 to 390, and soon to be all North Atlantic region by 2020. That completes that part of the presentation. Next presentation will be runway markings and safety and pavement runway status lights. Thank you.